the US continuing its large-scale operation against Iran's military targets. There's mixed messages coming from the Trump administration, though, as to what the mission actually is. The president himself didn't rule out putting American boots on the ground. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, said this is not Iraq, trying to allay concerns that this will end in a prolonged war. Two critical questions were answered most comprehensively, though, by the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. The first, why did America hit Iran now? What was the trigger?
No, first of all, two things I would say. Number one is, no matter what, ultimately this operation needed to happen. That's the question of why now. But this operation needed to happen because Iran in about a year or a year and a half would cross the line of immunity, meaning they would have so many short-range missiles, so many drones, that no one could do anything about it because they could hold the whole world hostage. Look at the damage they're doing now. And this is a weakened Iran. Imagine a year from now. So that had to happen.
He couldn't be clearer. The second question, what is the end game? What will indicate mission complete?
We would not mind, we would not be heartbroken, and we hope that the Iranian people can overthrow this government and establish a new future for that country. We would love for that to be possible. But the objective of this mission is the destruction of their ballistic missile capabilities and of their naval capabilities.
So two clear objectives, the destruction of ballistic missile capabilities and their naval capabilities, not regime change. That is not being talked about by the Secretary of State. Let's bring in our Washington correspondent, Jono Kersley. Now, Jono, he's left all options open on the table there, but he was clearer than Trump or Hegseth as to what the mission is.
He was pretty abundantly clear, wasn't he? This is probably the strongest message we've heard yet on exactly why the United States decided with Israel to strike Iran and to strike Iran now. Earlier, President Trump, speaking at the White House, had indicated that the United States had a few more objectives. He mentioned reducing and removing the ballistic missiles and wiping out Iran's navy. He also went on to say that they shouldn't be able to have nuclear weapons and that they should not be able to support terrorist organisations outside of Iran. Secretary of State Rubio was essentially putting all of the options for the United States on the table, saying that he believed that the objective could be accomplished without putting boots on the ground. We heard President Trump earlier today suggest a timeline on this could be somewhere between 4 and 5 weeks, and we know the United States has already struck some 1,250 targets more inside Iran. But interestingly, despite the removal of the Ayatollah, despite the removal of some 50 or so of the Iranian leadership and those more than 1,250 targets being struck, Secretary of State Rubio said the job is not done. In fact, it is far from done. And Iran hasn't even seen the biggest yet.
Again, I'm not going to give away the details of our tactical efforts, but the hardest hits are yet to come from the U.S. military. The next phase will be even more punishing on Iran than it is right now. Someone was screaming, how long will it take? I don't know how long it'll take. We have objectives. We will do this as long as it takes to achieve those objectives, and we will achieve those objectives. The world will be a safer place when we're done with this operation.
Laura, as I mentioned, President Trump was at the White House earlier today. This is the first time we saw him speak live on camera about the issue of Iran since he announced Operation Epic Fury, in fact, almost 3 days ago now. And he was, for the first time, justifying this conflict, if you like, putting forward the American argument as to why this movement had been made and why it was critical to do it now. There has been criticism here on Capitol Hill from Democratic lawmakers who say that Congress should have been kept informed. We heard that even from Chuck Schumer last week before these strikes even took place. But at the same time, President Trump very much on the front foot, insisting that the United States will easily prevail in a conflict he believes will last 4 or 5 weeks. Here's some of what the president said earlier today.
This was our last best chance to strike what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime. And they are indeed sick and sinister. Our objectives are clear.
A couple of other interesting side notes here in Washington, D.C. today. Secretary Hegseth, speaking at the Pentagon earlier today, seemed to lash out at European allies, accusing them of wringing their hands and clutching their pearls, while at the same time hitting out at what he called stupid rules around war engagement. Now President Trump is set to meet with Germany's Chancellor, likely tomorrow, Laura.
Jono, we'll let you get out of the snow. We'll check in soon.